Alrighty, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Radapult Podcast Episode 2, and quite a bit has happened since the last episode. We finally got it all out to the public. We have been posting these on YouTube, and so far so good. All of the feedback has been positive, and I'm really glad for that.
That's actually impressive. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, how many viewers or listeners, I suppose, did we actually get?
Just on YouTube, as of recording this one, we have 260 views on that.
Nice.
I'm actually not sure. I can probably go into the analytics to see how long people have viewed that for, but in general, 260 views.
30 seconds each.
Whoever viewed it on iTunes as well, that is not included in that number. But yeah, it's pretty positive so far. So today, I think we were going to be talking about some stories this time. Actually have a topic going into this. That might be good. We were thinking about talking about some of our best experiences that we've had just in life in general. And I think Brandon came up with that.
I did. Yay.
Awesome. So do you have an idea of like what you want to talk about when it comes to that?
I have a couple of ideas. I didn't know if one of you guys wanted to go first or...
No, I don't.
I'm not really sure. Personally, like I'll need to think about this a little bit more. So if you do want to go first.
I'll go first. So, as you guys know, before I entered my retail sales prison, I was a semi-professional photographer through the later parts of high school and into before I went into college. And one of the first gigs that I ever had was with the Peoria Rivermen, the St. Louis Blues minor league farm team, for those of you who don't know. And that really stands out to me. That's not just like a single event that was just really the coolest thing, but just it was always to go to Peoria, Illinois from St. Louis. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. So what my dad and I would do, first of all, how I ended up actually getting that gig, my dad actually got it before me. Their normal salaried photographer is also a architect and had to go to Canada for, I think it was like 2 months. And one of the marketing directors up there, his name's Nick, he had called my dad and asked him to come shoot a couple of the games while the other guy was away. I don't remember his name now. I feel kind of bad about it. But and he went and he shot, and he had a lot of fun. And he asked Nick, without my knowledge, if I could come to the next game with him because, you know, having two photographers shooting the same thing is better than one. And Nick said, absolutely. So before my first game, I actually went and spent my own money and rented a second 70-200 L series lens from Canon, which, as John can tell you, is very expensive.
I'm not a connoisseur of lenses. That is like the one thing of cameras I don't understand.
It's about a $2,000 lens. My dad and I own one, but because my camera wasn't as good as his at the time, and he still wanted to use ours, I actually spent my own money on my own volition and went out and rented a second one to go and shoot this first game. And one of the best pictures I've ever taken in my entire life. It's one of the cover photos on my website, nearphotography.zenfolio.com, by the way, for those of you who don't know.
Self-plugging.
Of course.
Putting it in the show notes.
But this was one of the best photos I've ever gotten. It was the very first game. Our player's name was Chris Porter. He's actually playing for the Blues now, which is really cool because I can be like, I took pictures of that guy. But he actually got into a fight, literally in the face-off dot right in front of where I was sitting to take my pictures that night. And I have just a full frame, like blown up, like straight out of the camera. I barely cropped it at all, of him, and his fist is about an inch away from the other player's face. And I actually ended up I actually had an opportunity later to get a copy of that picture signed by Chris.
That's pretty cool.
And he looked at it, he was like, oh wow, this is really good. And he actually stood there and bullshit with me for like 20 minutes about all of his experiences down with the Rivermen and now with the Blues. And he actually remembered that fight very specifically because it was, I think he said it was his first fight he ever got in the AHL, the American Hockey League. And that picture will always be on my website. I will never take it down, even if I get something that's just like far and away better than I don't know how I could. But that really stands out to me. And then I don't remember if it was that season or the season after. I ended up doing this for about 2.5 seasons. It was either the end of that season or the end of the second season. There was another player who had been in Peoria. Again, I don't remember his name. I feel really bad. Hold on. I'll look this up real quick. But it was his last season. He'd been a career minor leaguer, and he'd been with the Rivermen for years and years and years. And this was going to be his last game.
Mm-hmm.
And they had worn special jerseys for that night, because it was the last home game of the regular season, and they usually will wear special jerseys during the games that they auction off after the game is over.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a picture after the game, because he scored 2 goals. He ended up getting one of the stars of the game. His name was Nathan Oystrick. And he ended up getting the first star of the game. And he comes out. What they do in the minor leagues, like in the NHL, when you get stars, they'll announce like the third, second, and first star of the game, and they'll usually come out and either throw a T-shirt or they'll like sign a hockey stick or something and give it to a fan of the audience. The Rivermen always did sticks, and I have a picture of Nathan Oystrick during the 3 stars, and normally they leave the lights at least partially up. They completely blacked out the entire place and had a spotlight on Nathan Oystrick, and he has his arms above his head holding his stick, like egging on the audience to cheer for him for all of his time with the Rivermen. And I have
Is that your Twitter like banner?
that is my that is on my Twitter, and it's on my cover photo for Facebook.
I was looking at that.
Yeah,
trying to find your portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite pictures of all time again. And just that 2.5 years I spent with the Rivermen have been not only just a lot of fun, but helped me grow a lot as a photographer. I learned so much while I was down there. Not even so much like from like I had already learned a lot from my dad before I even went down there, but just like through my own experience, through the practice, through the exposure to that environment, I learned a lot more than, any college class is ever going to teach me. So
Yeah.
Right.
that was a really cool experience. And actually through that, I got to do this is leading to my second story. I got to shoot with they're no longer called this. It was called Studio 314. It was a portrait studio down in St. Louis, and the owner's name was Steve. And Steve and his business partner Rob are 2 of my favorite people on the planet. They really are. I honestly wish I hadn't stopped shooting there to go to college. Seriously, I wish I had just skipped the whole college thing and just kept shooting with the studio, because that's...
Yeah, I was wondering if you were still involved with them, just because I know you were doing that, but I'd never heard of Finite Ends.
Yeah, I just, when I started college, it was located down in St. Louis, basically across the street from Chaffetz Arena. So it's about a half hour, 45 minutes there, and then half hour, 45 minutes home. And between all my college classes, because I was in I was a full-time student at St. Charles Community College at the time. I just didn't have time to go down there anymore. And I went back a couple times to help them move into a different location, and they had another shoot that they wanted me to help out with, and I happened to have the time, but I haven't been back, and I miss it dearly. But Steve, the owner of the studio, wanted to do a sub-business within the studio that he was wanting to call 314 Sports Picks. And he brought in, again, my father, me, and another photographer named Chris. And Steve, Rob, Chris, my dad, and I, basically, to start out, what we did was we looked at, just as a starting point, like just doing high school football games. And then selling the pictures to the parents, because that seemed logical to us. So for a couple months we just did high school football games, which was really fun, because after shooting with Francis Howell North's yearbook and newspaper and stuff, I kind of missed like just the like low-level, not professional sports like I got exposed to with the Rivermen. Like this was these people's livelihoods. Like they were still having fun out there, but it was still, you know, a little more intense. Whereas with high school, these guys, they're playing for scholarships still, but it's not like they're making or breaking their living, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely a lot more relaxed, for one thing, going into like a high school environment. Because like, when you go into the NFL as a photographer, they have a dress code. Like, you can't dress in a way that's comfortable for you. You have to dress how they tell you how to dress. You are assigned a position, and you are to stay there for the duration of the game. Whereas in high school, you can wear whatever the hell you want. As long as you have your press badge, you can pretty much walk and move around wherever you want. And I do miss that freedom. But, and we did that for a couple months, and then we got a gig to do what was called a zombie run. And for those of you who don't know what a zombie run is, I don't know what rock you're living under, but
it's pretty cold down here.
Huh?
It's pretty cold down here. I've never heard of this, actually.
What?
Really?
You've never heard of a zombie run? Okay.
I mean, I guess I can get a little bit of an idea, but please explain.
It's a 5K run where the participants are chased by zombies.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So basically the way it works is the place where they had this at was just this huge, beautiful farmland. I mean, I assume it's beautiful. It was the dead of winter, so it was a little gray. But half of the participants actually ran the 5K, and the other half got makeup done and looked like zombies. And they have zombies sort of posted around the farm, and about 3/4 of the run was through like this wooded area, so there were like trees for all the zombies to hide behind. It was hilarious. And what all the runners had a belt with 3 flags on it, and as a runner, you had to keep the zombies from taking your flags. If someone took all 3 of your flags, you were dead. So at that point, you were just running for your time. They did it in heats of about 50 people. If you could make it to the end of the run and had at least 1 flag, you won the heat. And we were out there, all 5 of us, for, I want to say, we got there at about 6 o'clock in the morning and didn't get to leave, or weren't able to leave until like 9 o'clock at night. And it was brutal. I probably ran a distance equivalent to about 2 5Ks that day, just getting around the farm, getting to different places. Because the mistake I made in the first place was I wanted to try to follow an entire heat through the entire course by taking shortcuts. There aren't that many shortcuts when you're trying to run through the forest unless you want to get lost. So I did that for about the first 2 heats, and I about gassed myself. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to find a place where I can just sit, where I can just watch the people run through heat by heat by heat, and take pictures of the zombies attacking them, because that was hilarious. There was one guy, he was dressed up as a TGI Fridays server, with zombie makeup and everything, had like his apron torn and everything. And
Oh, man.
what he would do, as the heat started, he'd be just kind of sitting on the ground, leaned up against a tree, and he would start, as the runners started coming through, he would look and try to find somebody, not the slowest, but like isn't really like trying to win the heat. They're just kind of in it for the fun of it. And like he would start kind of crawling, like normal zombie. We got the crawlers that you just kind of crawl along the ground, and as soon as his target would run by, he would pounce. Like, just leap off of the ground to try to get a flag. And this picture isn't on my website. I got a picture of him mid-air with someone's flag on his fingertips.
Oh, that sounds great.
Oh, it was hysterical. After I took that picture, I just had to kind of sit there for a minute, and I just had to catch my breath. I was laughing so hard. And then, actually, the very next heat, there was this gigantic mud puddle, because it had just rained torrentially the night before. And the way the run was routed, they were to go around the mud pit. But a bunch of the runners, for some reason, thought they were supposed to go through it. And that only went on for a couple heats, and then I guess when the runners got back, it's like, hey, you don't have to go through the mud pit, and then people stopped doing it. But one lady took one step into the mud pit, face planted into the mud, and then came up and started like searching through the mud like she had lost something. Her shoe came off when she fell. And then she couldn't find it. So she actually finished the run minus a shoe. And I'm just like, that lady has got the biggest balls ever. Cause like this isn't like 5Ks in St. Louis where it's like in Forest Park and you can run in the grass. No, it's like sticks and rocks and twigs and freaking
Like an actual kind of foresty trail.
Yeah, and like that couldn't have been comfortable. I felt really bad for her. Because like she was in that pit for like 10 minutes trying to find her shoe, and she never did. That was definitely one of the more fun shoots that I did with the studio. We ended up doing another 5K immediately after that was called the Cupcake Run down in St. Louis. And the premise of that, instead of zombies attacking you, it's just a normal 5K, and there were 5 stations where the runners would stop and eat cupcakes. And by finishing the cupcakes, you actually got time bonuses. So if you ate one of the big ones, you got a 5 minutes taken off your time. If you ate one of the little ones, you got 2 minutes taken off your time. The first heat, we had a guy finish with a negative time.
Oh.
Because at each station, he wolfed down 5 of the big cupcakes and finished the race in under 25 minutes.
That's amazing.
I watched this guy cross the line, and I looked up at the timer, and it was like at 22 minutes. And he handed the judge all of his badges, and they were all 5s. I was like, what? And like, this was a skinny guy. Like, he wasn't muscular or anything. He was basically just skin and bones, like a typical runner. But just basically, apparently has a removable jaw pin to where he can just like one bite these gigantic cupcakes. Because you can't actually leave the cupcake areas until you finish the cupcakes. So over the course of this run, he actually had to stop running, eat the cupcake, and then keep going. And he was still able to finish the 5K in 22 minutes. Well, negative 3 minutes technically. But those were some of the best times of my life. The Riverman has lost a little bit of magic to me just because of how that sort of ended, but if I wish I was still working at the studio, and after the first of the year, I might see if Steve still needs some help down there, because I want to go back. I miss that place dearly.
Yeah, I mean, summer's coming up, relatively.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, at least for
Right.
winter.
At least time off.
right.
But, like, I'm just saying, summer 2015 would also be a good time, I guess.
Yeah, those are my best experiences I've ever had.
All right.
I'm trying to think, like, what story would be interesting for other people to hear. Because I have a lot of stories, but a lot of people wouldn't like those stories.
Yeah,
so.
like, a lot of the things that I'm just trying to think about, I'm thinking about the stories that, like, I'm actually looking on, like, my Foursquare map of just, like, places I've been and just being like, I don't remember these places too in depth. So I'm looking at, like, my video archive and I'm just like, all right, what happened on that trip that I took that was so quote unquote memorable?
I'm thinking back to a lot of the stories back when I was a writer for the newspaper at our school, and there are actually a couple decent stories with that. First off, like, it was just a really cool experience learning that if you message enough people, at least one of them is going to message you back.
That is true.
And what I mean by that is, like, you want a big name to be, like, part of an interview for something you're doing. You just need to send enough messages to enough big people, and eventually one of them will be like, I've got nothing to do for the next 10 minutes or whatever. And so in my time, I wanted to do a, like, pro gaming article. And so I just messaged a bunch of, like, top teams, and I actually got the interview with one of the big names at Curse. I ended up not, like, being able to do it just for, like, other issues, but that was really cool. And then I actually got John Mayberry, who's a big author. He does the I don't remember the names of the books now. They're like these zombie movies where it was essentially the like a practical look at them. I don't know. It was interesting. It was for that. We did an entire, like, issue on zombies, and that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing. Can we get, like, pictures up for that?
I mean, I'm trying to just limit this to audio only, but, like, we can definitely describe what happened that night, because, like, I definitely remember that a lot too.
Yeah, it was it was the big issue that year. Like, someone wanted to do it. They got one of the bigger editors in charge of it, and then they were like, all right, we want to do this. We've got and we actually had, like, a makeup artist at our school who was able to do, like, really realistic zombies and everything. And I was actually invited in the like, core group to do it, which is funny because up until that point I was an opinion writer. And so
Rotten Ruin.
it was, yeah, Rotten Ruin, thank you. It was essentially what I think happened is there weren't a lot of guys in that group. And so they were like, who knows a lot about zombies? And someone just thought up, oh, Austin, he's weird enough to probably know what he's talking about.
That's not
But
nice.
it ended up really cool because I was able to, like, I directed some of the, like, how people should pose, what, like, how they act. It was interesting and just a lot of fun for that, I guess.
Yeah, like, wasn't the whole point of the, like, zombie edition was like December 2012 edition?
Yeah, that was
the
it.
end
It
of
was,
the
like,
world.
And we just wrote about a bunch of different apocalypse scenarios. And I think I did nuclear war and how a zombie apocalypse could be possible. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the paper just came out and won so many awards. Like, we
won every award.
Yeah, basically anything we submitted that to, it was just like, it was almost a surefire thing.
You win.
That's
You win. You win.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up on FHNtoday's issue page just so I can link that in the show notes. It's really cool if you just want to look through it and look at the graphics, because there was a lot of people that worked on that, and specifically one of the photo guys did a lot of work when it came to like getting the lighting for all the zombies and like posing them in the studio, and it was really cool.
Yeah, and it's funny that I could probably just list that entire time at
In publication.
in publications is that just because it was some of the brightest writers and photographers and like design experts that like I'll probably ever meet. Like that's the best school in the country. Those are the people who were taught the best and are probably just like succeeding right now in most likely Mizzou.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of FHN students come up here, and so far pretty much all of them that I've seen have been going into like some sort of journalism.
Yeah, because there's really no other option other than Mizzou, but like it's
with the bonus of
one
being
of those-
in state.
yeah.
We're only 2 hours from home. Yay.
Not even that. It's like an hour and a half.
Right? Makes me feel worse I haven't come to visit you yet.
We have room. We're in an apartment.
I forgot about that. There's always Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, I should be coming home for that.
What is break? I don't know what that means.
I forgot you're not in school.
And I'm working retail, so Thanksgiving means something different for me.
Yeah, it doesn't mean less
That's
hours.
true.
It means more.
Yes.
It means coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
All right, then you're screwed.
Yep.
Meth?
Don't tell me you've thought about it.
No, not meth. There's some stimulant pro gamers take that's legal. I'm not sure what it is, but I've actually considered it.
Energy drinks?
5 hour energy?
Huh? No. Like, it's an actual... It's not... It might be like guarana tablets or something. I'm not actually sure what it is.
Oh, I've heard of those. Yeah, I'm not sure if you should take those.
I'd be shaking, but I'd be awake!
I haven't taken pharmacology yet, but typically if it's not big and a lot of people aren't using it, that's either because it doesn't work or it works way too well.
That is true.
That's why everyone uses coffee, is that it works when not killing you.
Right. I guess.
That's always a plus in what you want to keep you awake.
Right.
So I guess I can go ahead and do my event. So this past summer, I actually went down to VidCon, which was, I'll just say, spoiler alert for the rest of the story, it was awesome. But like more than that, I met a couple of people that I had only ever known online for the first time, which was just so weird in general. But as well as that, it was also the first time that I like had to travel alone. I had to like take public transportation in San Diego. I had no idea what to do down there. But I guess we can start back in St. Louis. So whenever the tickets went on sale, I've been wanting to go to VidCon for so long, at least since its inception, like 5 years ago in like what, 2009 it would have been 5 years ago. So I've been wanting to go to it for pretty much as long as it's existed. And this year I was finally able to. And I even made like a bit of a vlog about this, which I can link down below. But like, so you can follow visually what I'm saying, but I'll try and describe it as best as I can. So we flew out of St. Louis and I flew down to San Diego just because it was actually cheaper to take the Amtrak up, but that also had the added bonus of going right along the California coastline. So,
Oh, wow.
especially right around sunset. So like the sun wasn't even up. It was just the pink glow. And it was just my favorite view of that entire thing, quite honestly. But
That's awesome.
yeah, whenever we were going up there, that's what I saw. And then when I got there, the hotel room was under my name, and so I got an Uber over to that, first time ever using that, and I got an Uber to drive to the travel lodge that we were staying at, and from there I pretty much just waited because I was expecting my friends Ledger and Brock to show up, Porpoise and Mr. Gibbs, for the people who might know them. I was waiting for them to show up, and those were going to be the guys that I was going to be hanging out with this convention. We were all going to room together, split the costs. All pretty standard stuff if you're going to conventions with friends. And once they got there, it was just weird because, like, they were feet away from me. They were not, like, an internet connection and, like, half a continent away. Like, it's still weird thinking about that. Just seeing people I've only ever known through the internet in person. But from that...
By weird, you mean magical.
Magical, but, like, it's still surreal. It's just, like, it still doesn't feel like I physically met them because I've only ever known them digitally.
I guess.
That's fair.
It's just my mind, I guess, though. I seem to, like, be increasingly losing track of reality to digital space.
Just slowly losing his mind.
Exactly. But the actual convention was really great, and I had that surreal experience of seeing all these YouTubers that I had watched for years. Like, I think the oldest YouTuber that I did know about and saw there was actually the first YouTuber that I saw at all, and that was Jory Karen from Is It a Good Idea to Microwave This? And
what?
Yeah, like
I met him.
I met him.
That's awesome.
And I actually, like, I recognized him, and then, like, he thought he had seen me before at another convention from a previous year. I hadn't, obviously, since this was my first time, but apparently I looked familiar, like somebody that he knew, and then we just hugged, and, like, it's still weird thinking about it. But as well as that, I met up with my friend Dorian Deck. He is a vlogger on YouTube, and I had known him for, like, probably 6 years or something like that. But, like, just seeing him, especially, like, physically, because he's gone through, like, his long-haired skater phase, I guess you could say, to, like, very grown red carpet looking person. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. And, like, next to him was also John Paula, which also did the microwave show. Like, they were hanging out a bunch, I remember, at least the day that I saw them. And, like, the whole thing is just really surreal. But, like, VidCon itself was not at all what I expected. I knew that there was going to be tens of thousands of people there. It was, like, 17,000 people in attendance.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, the actual convention hall that they booked, like, the main auditorium that they would have, like, the kickoff and concerts in, couldn't hold all the people that registered to go to the convention.
Oh, no.
It's just, I didn't expect that many people to be there. And also, like, a side effect from that, like, all of the sessions really got packed really quickly, and I really got annoyed when people were literally, like, sticking into a session that they might not have cared about because, like, Tyler Oakley was going to be there in 2 hours. Like, people would literally stake out in a session that they didn't necessarily care about just so they could see somebody. But
after that.
Exactly. So, like, just thinking about that, those are the kinds of things that annoyed me. Personally, like, I do like that there are so many people there, but I dislike that it's... I guess I really don't know what the experience was like when it started or, like, the years past, but, like, it seemed, at least from what I've read before, so many fans this year. And I don't know, like, people were literally just going past guards at one point to chase people that they admired. That's how bad it got. I was waiting in line to see, I think it was Boogie 2988, and then I also saw a group of, like, just a mob of girls running through, like, an area that was supposed to be guarded. Just, like, you're not supposed to go because it's going to, like, mess up the actual signing hall. But, like, they did. I don't know. And then pretty much, like, obviously just being friends, me, Ledger, and Brock hung out a lot. pretty much the entire trip. And they actually went to go to Maker Studios, which is like their network. They're both in it. And they went to go actually play on a live stream, which was cool. I got to watch that in the hotel room on my phone.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I did crash my drone, which was the first time that I had actually flown it like anywhere outside that was like I had a specific shot in mind. Like every other time that I've flown my Phantom, DJI Phantom, just so like I'm not flying like a legitimate like Hellfire drone. That probably didn't need to be said, but I flew it and then it crashed because of a gust of wind and it just smacked into a hotel. And that in and of itself was just a really big thing to like get back. And surprisingly, it lived perfectly fine. The only thing that really needed to be done was solder on the power cables again. Because those actually, like the power cables that connect the battery to the actual board, those came off, but a little soldering fixed that no problem.
Nice.
I'm genuinely surprised about that. But yeah, that was my VidCon experience. It was just really, really awesome. And now whenever I see like YouTubers online that I saw in person, it's always just a lot more weird because like I imagine them, like I can never really imagine them fully in like real space when I'm just looking at them on YouTube. But now that I've seen like Mark Douglas, Elliot Morgan, John Green, Hank Green, all of these people, it's just really weird because now I get like a better sense of what they're doing in life and like how they look and how they interact with the world around them, which I can't really know solely through YouTube. So that whole thing is just really, really weird still, even, to just imagine.
It's okay.
But yeah, that was VidCon for me.
It's okay. It's part of socializing.
I know. Whew.
All right, Austin. Oh, wait. We already did it.
Yeah, I sort of gave one.
Yeah.
Now we're just lost.
I know. Do we end this short? Or, I mean, we do have topic ideas for other podcasts, which we might want to do before his workload picks up.
I'm still going to have 2 days off a week, so it'll be fine. It's just the days I'm there, I will be working like 10 hours.
No.
Is the problem.
Joke projects you never actually did.
What?
So I was like, have you ever been like, I want to do this at some point?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Okay.
What is an example of something that you never did of those?
I wanted to mod my computer case to make it steampunk. I just never did.
That would actually be pretty cool.
I know, and I still kind of want to do it, but there's just a lot of practical things about this particular case. I actually thought about getting a different case and doing it to that, but there's just things about this case that make it not good for modifying. So.
Also, who would appreciate it?
Other nerds.
It would just
like
be you
me.
being like, man, that looks really great, and possibly Reddit.
Reddit likes everything.
No, it does not.
Shush.
It does not like you breaking the circle of what Reddit likes.
Dang it. I'm sorry, Reddit.
I am a Redditor. I don't know why you're saying sorry. You can be a Redditor and still be aware of what is good and is not good on the site.
I suppose.
They really like John Oliver.
Is a fan.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I is a fan. But I don't know how many projects that I have that I've just like wanted to do but never done. I did want to eventually make a interactive YouTube video of Six Flags St. Louis. That just never happened. Like,
nice.
What you would do is you would have just like annotations, and that was like back when like YouTube Billionaire and like all of those interactive annotation stuff, like those still exist today, but like when those were new and everybody was just messing with them. I was wanting to do that with a theme park, but
nice.
A, no filming on the rides, and B, my camera work was incredibly shoddy because I had nothing to stabilize it as I walked. And
like
plus,
you can't
the
even
sheer
have a
amount of
GoPro
video
on the rides?
I didn't have.
It was before the
I didn't
GoPro.
have a GoPro then. That was how long ago it was.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, that.
But
was
no, you
forever
can't.
ago.
You can't have GoPros on rides in general.
That's so dumb. Those would make awesome videos.
Yes, they would, but you're not. I don't think you're supposed to. Like I know.
Just be like wearing a coat with the GoPro strapped to your chest, and before the ride goes, you're just like whoppa, and then it's.
No, but like the easiest would be to just like have it in your pocket, and then just like it's small enough you could just slip it out regardless of what ride you're on.
I suppose.
But there's also that stabilization thing.
Right. Well, it wouldn't be very stable if it was strapped to your chest in the first place. It wouldn't be very stable no matter what it's strapped to, really.
Oh yeah, if it was strapped to your chest.
Just because roller coasters tend to shake.
Maybe a little. But yeah, that's one of the things that I was wanting to do, going off of what Austin said.
Yeah. I feel like everything I've ever wanted to write has basically fallen through.
Just all of it.
Yeah, like I always like start writing things and it's like kind of funny, but then like I keep wanting to edit it and then never post it anywhere.
One thing I'm still young enough to where I can do something stupid like this, but I don't know. I would love to just literally drop everything that I'm doing in St. Louis, go to Hollywood, and just go around and beg for jobs at movie studios. Seriously,
like acting or like working with equipment?
No, just working at the studio in general. I don't care.
I don't think hobos are very. Like, I don't think they get picked up off the street like that.
Well, no, it's I have always. You guys know how big I am in the movies. I have always wanted to be involved in.
Yeah.
The production of a movie in some way. I don't care if I'm tree number 5. You know, like I don't even have to be like I could be the guy that gets the assistant art director's cousin's brother his coffee. I don't give a crap. I'd love to be I want to work in Hollywood making movies at some capacity. I don't care what I'm doing.
That's understandable.
Right. And just I've never done it. I'm still here. And that's kind of a big that's a big decision to make. Like,
yeah.
That's literally me just going in, quitting my job, saying goodbye to my family, and leaving. And I'm not sure I really want to do that.
Yeah, like, I've seen a lot of YouTubers just talk about that kind of experience. Just like, okay, I want to go work in Los Angeles. So they move.
And so they did. Like, it's...
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't hear about the ones that aren't successful, but...
Right.
I can imagine that.
Right. And, like, I don't care if I'm holding a boom mic or, like I said, keeping someone's coffee warm just by holding it in my hands. Like, I don't care. You know, I just want to work in a movie studio and make movies. That just sounds like the best.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's always been something, like, I get. Like, I don't know if it's like always the best idea, but I get people wanting to make movies and wanting to be actors and stuff like that. Your goal is somewhat more realistic than others.
Right.
But
I have no preference on what I'm doing. I just want to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, just help the experience of the things you love.
Right. And if something came of it, like if I ended up becoming a writer or an actor, great. But, you know, I don't care. I'd be a stunt double. I don't give a shit. I'll take a knife to the throat. It's fine.
For the movie.
For the movie!
you look a little bit like a circle of Patton Oswalt. Like, see what he's up to.
This is true.
Especially with your new hair.
Yeah.
You'd probably look exactly like him with some minor adjustments.
Like getting, like, the bottom like 2 feet of my legs removed. Because Patton Oswalt is fairly short.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that.
And I'm like 6 foot tall. Like, I'd have to be, like, crouching quite a bit.
Let me think. Ooh, I've always wanted to do actual stand-up comedy. I've done, like, things here and there, mostly, like, talent shows and stuff, but I've never actually gone to, like, an open mic night. And a lot of that's just, I'm not 21 yet, so there are no open mic nights, but...
That is true.
They have to have them somewhere, and I should at least get a routine ready if one ever comes up.
I know Applebee's has like karaoke. Maybe you can just steal the mic.
I'm going to talk to you guys about DMX for 10 minutes while girls just want to have fun plays in the background. But only the music.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Why does Applebee's have karaoke?
I don't
nights?
know.
They don't realize what their market is. What their market is like parents that don't want to cook but don't want to eat fast food, and people like us going on dates because that's the best we can afford.
I mean, I like their food.
I like Applebee's also. It's just I wouldn't sing karaoke there.
Yeah. I wouldn't sing karaoke in general.
Mostly because $30 breaks my bank.
I don't know if I actually would ever want to do karaoke. Like, I've thought about it once, but then it was just like, ugh. Like, I would be terrible. No one would enjoy themselves. And, yeah, just no.
Yeah. Like, in general, I am very used to, like, hearing myself talk just because it's what I do now. Like, at some point, I just had to man up and, like, listen to my own voice, even though it was uncomfortable. I cannot imagine myself singing. I can, like, I don't sing as it is, but, like, putting that, like, if I start singing, I don't even know what I think I would sound like.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to subject the world to that.
I'm convinced that I sound okay, but I also thought I sounded like my voice sounded okay until I did this podcast.
And then it just sounds like you're gargling rocks.
You shouldn't trust how you think you sound.
Because it's not how you actually sound.
Not at all, no.
Everyone has a different perception of it.
Physically, you talking vibrates your ears, so it manipulates the sound that a microphone does not.
This is true.
And that's why you sound different in your recordings. Why you think it sounds worse most of the time? Like, most people think they sound worse, or like...
I think it's because we've worked on developing our voice. Like, you want to sound the way that you sound in your head, and so you've sort of, like, without knowing it, started talking that way. Like, do you sort of get what I'm saying?
A little bit, but
like, you know how when you're singing, you want to sound good, right? So you change the pitch and the tone and all that. You do the same thing with your voice, but you just didn't recognize it. And so when you hear it and it's different than that, suddenly it's like, oh, that sounds like crap.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because, Brandon, I think your voice sounds fine, but you're convinced that it doesn't sound very good.
It's just, like, it sounds weird over my microphone. It's just like, oh, God. You know, but I just think it sounds a lot different over the microphone than it does in person, to me.
Yeah, and microphones definitely, like, are very manipulative of, like, especially, like, just depending on their quality. Like, they'll either be like, oh, that represents me so well, or like, no, that's not me.
Like, John, your microphone makes you sound like you. It really does.
Does it?
Yeah. I thought so, anyway.
I mean, for the most part, I just hear myself through, like, my microphone, because I've used this for, like, over a year now. This is about the only microphone I've needed since.
What kind of microphone you got, by the way?
I have an Audio-Technica AT35, I think. I forget the exact number, but Yes, it's its own condenser mic, and it's got a XLS output and converter. It's very nice. I am very glad I got it. Good investment. AT2035. That's what it is.
Huh. Oh yeah, I've seen this mic before.
It's very nice.
With a price tag to match. All right.
Like I said, I haven't needed one in over a year. Like, I've went through probably like 2-3 headsets in my YouTube career before I got this. So it'll
Nice.
last. It'll definitely last.
Yeah, I know Audio-Technicas are fantastic. So, yeah, I have the headset I'm on now is a Planatronics.
I hear you rustling it
Yeah,
around.
Planatronics. And then the headset I used to game on is a Razer Black Shark.
Okay.
It looks like an old school pilot's headset, like a huge like boom mic and wires everywhere, and I love it. Ugh.
Yeah, I just can't get behind headsets. Like, I used to like them, but like at this point, I just don't.
Well, see, yes, the microphones on them generally do suck, but it's all about having everything that you would need just in the one unit. Like, obviously, if I had my way, I'd have a microphone like that, and then I'd be using my Bose QC15s with a DAC.
Mhm.
But that's a very expensive setup, and I'm not that big an audiophile. So,
Yeah.
I've never heard audiophile as a term before.
Really?
Nope.
interesting. You've known me for how long?
Well, that's the point. Like, you don't talk about audio much.
This is true. This is why I sell television.
I assume you sell more than that, but
I sell mostly television.
It's a lot of televisions. People need TVs a lot.
For some reason. Like, well, because the thing is, people's TVs die. And then they're like, hey, I need a new one. I'm like, okay, give me your money. So, it's whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, I got a couple buddies I work with that are huge audiophiles, and they toss around words that might as well be Chinese for me.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's bad.
I don't understand audio a whole lot. I know my ears are more like sensitive to noise at all as opposed to like noise quality. Like, whenever I just hear people talking about like basses, mids, highs, I'm just like, those are things that I probably wouldn't be able to differentiate between. But like, whenever I heard Manful standing outside the tent when we camped outside his house, I heard him and you didn't. Like, I can hear faint sounds, but like I cannot hear in general differences.
That was the worst.
That was so fun.
Alright, so for those of you who don't know, John Austin and I were in our high school publications, obviously. And
Yeah.
what the seniors would do before... Wait, John, you weren't a senior. Why were you there?
It was editors only.
Then why was I there?
Because they invite certain seniors along.
Why?
I guess it's seniors and editors. I don't know. But
I didn't go.
I think it
on
might have
ours.
just been like in general they invited staff, but it was probably seniors. and
They
edits.
there were certain seniors that they just sort of considered basically eds.
right. But what we would do, we would always pick a random night, and we would all get tents and sleeping bags and go to our teacher's backyard just in the middle of the night and camp out in his backyard and surprise him in the morning. And it is rarely do we actually sleep when that happens. And
Didn't you guys do it the night before a certain final?
yeah, we did. It was hilarious.
Did we do it
but-
finals week? Because I don't remember having.
No. It was AP. tests
Oh.
for the next day. I think.
Oh.
I remember because Jessica and Caitlin were getting pissed that Kevin wouldn't shut up. I mean, the rest of us were, but for a different reason. A different reason. They had a test the next day, and John and I shared a tent, and he looks over at me. He's like, "Do you hear something out there?" I'm like, "No."
I heard him standing on sticks. I heard somebody out there. Something. I just heard sticks cracking very slightly.
And I didn't hear a damn thing. And suddenly our teacher leaps towards our tent, grabs it, and goes, "Brrr!" And John actually made a video of that, and you just hear me go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I remember I was just like, ooh, this is probably going to be good. Like, I hear somebody out there. I wonder if something's going to happen. Let me get out my camera.
But yeah, apparently that was the first year Manful had ever decided to try to...
Prevent it?
No, not prevent it. Just, sneak up on one of the tents and scare whoever was inside. He picked the smallest one for some reason. It was the one that we happened to be in.
Yeah, since it was just us. There was this big tent right in the center.
Yeah, there was
this
a
whole
gigantic
thing
tent
that had,
was,
what, 5-6 people in it?
At least! And that one would have been... that's the one I would have picked, personally. Just because I would have freaked out more people. But,
You know you've been away from the room for 2 years when you're finally willing to disagree with Manful on something.
Right. No, he and I did have creative differences every now and then, but he knew what I had done and what experiences I had had, so he gave me a little more leeway than he normally would with other people, I feel like. Maybe. A little bit. But yeah, that was hilarious. Oh my god.
It was
Do you
fun.
still have that video, by the way?
I'm looking for that right now, actually. If I do, it's not tagged under your name, so I'll have to look through everything.
Oh no, why would you not do that? That's bad archiving.
I do have bad archiving things, like bad archiving. Like, I still somehow have that one freshman softball game that we shot together, and I can't find that.
Really?
Yes, like that one obscure softball game that you're just like, oh, this is freshman? I'm going to leave. In like 2011. But
wow.
I cannot find that. It's somewhere.
Yeah, that was one of the few things you and I actually did, like, together for publications.
Mm-hmm. Like, everything else was just like, your photo, I'm video.
Right. Well, there were some opportunities for a little bit of crossover, but there wasn't a lot.
Yeah, like, I remember us, like, whenever I was wanting to shoot some hockey games, you're there taking photos. Obviously, hockey, your thing.
Yes. Yeah, that was an awesome
I
night.
really want to know if it's archived.
I'd hope so. You don't delete shit.
I don't delete shit is the thing. It's probably somewhere.
You don't delete shit, you just buy more hard drives.
Exactly. I have like 4 of them sitting in a box on my desk right now.
That you haven't opened?
No, that have data on them.
Oh.
Of just like previous years.
Yeah, Seagate and Western Digital have 6 terabyte hard drives now, by the way.
I want
the Samsung 1 terabyte solid states that they have now, but they're like $500.
And rightfully so. That's crazy.
It is.
Just solid state, but...
Yeah, it's a 1 terabyte solid state. It's great. And I want it. $500?
Pretty close. It is 10 years old and an Oldsmobile.
So it looks like the first things that I have that are tagged Manful are like of the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
So either it's spliced in between like 16 pages of convention stuff, or...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like, I'll probably just find that and send you it later.
Yeah, you just find it randomly, like, oh,
I
hey.
really do want to, like, maybe put that audio in the podcast, like, splice that in, since that is audio only, since it was just pitch black.
Right, that was hilarious. That'd be All right. Well, we've been going for an hour. Should probably suffice.
Yep.
All right. So who wants to do outro?
Alrighty, thank you guys for listening, and if you want to subscribe, there are many different ways. We are officially on iTunes if you want to do that. I will put all of that stuff... Well, if you're listening to this on YouTube, then that'll all be in the description. If you're listening to this on iTunes, then in the show notes. I actually did figure that out, how to do that. So,
yay!
That stuff will be down below, all the things that we mentioned this episode. And thank you guys for joining us.
Yep, thanks a lot. I'm Brandon.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Jon.
All right, we'll see you next time.